Hi there. Today I want to improve my Monte Carlo simulation by creating some expandable components. After doing simulate, I can see here the percentile and the simulation results. But I want to do a container where I click and it's going to be expanded. For the first time it's going to calculate. Afterwards, if I expand it and collapse it again, it's not going to calculate anything anymore. So just a bit like lazy works. If you don't know about Monte Carlo simulation in context of software estimates, you can check my other video. It's really helpful and it saves a lot of trouble. So I'm going to start by adding a new component to do that, and I'm going to call it lazy container. And in this lazy container, what I want to do is something like this. I'm going to check if it's loaded. So there are two states, either it's loaded or not. And if it's not loaded, I'm going to activate it. I'm calling activate it, so that it can load the state just once. So in this case, I'm calling it activate and activate. And then there is another state, and the other state, if it's loaded, then it could have been already is expanded, and if it's not expanded, then it is collapsed. So if it's collapsed, I'm going to not this, I'm going to just to show something, I'm going to create here a h1 and header and call it collapsed. And if it's collapsed, I'm going to be able to expand it. So I'm going to use here an on click again and call it expand. And the button should also show expand. And what I also want to do, if it's already expanded, then I'm going to do the other way around, and I'm going to collapse it. So I can say here that it's expanded, and I'm going to do a collapse. And here just the same. So that's basically the structure that I want to achieve. So in order to do that, I need to create now these properties. So I can just say here property is loaded. I can also change this and say is expanded. And then I need to create these three methods. Expand, and this one is just going to set is expanded equals true, and then I'm going to create another one that is going to be called collapse, that it's going to just set this property. The method that does the work is actually this activate. So here it's where I'm going to get the data for the first time, and in order to show something, I'm just going to create here a stopwatch, and I'm just going to say start new, and since I cannot block the thread and wait for, let's say, 5 seconds, I'm going to do a busy waiting here, which it's probably a bad idea, but since I want to show it like this, so I'm going to do a time span here, so only when these 5 seconds are elapsed, then it's going to get out and say is loaded and is expanded. It's like true. Is loaded, is expanded, is true. So just like this. And the idea now, I don't need this here. The idea now is to use it here in the forecasting. So in the forecasting, I'm showing here the percentiles table. So I can say lazy container, and I'm just going to show it like this, because if I actually can do that. So I'm going to surround it, and same here, because this is what I want to achieve. It's not going to work the first time. So this is basically what I want to achieve. This is not going to work by default. In order to make it work, I need to add a property here that it's a parameter, and it's going to be called render it's of type render fragment, and I'm going to call it child content, or just content. And here I just say content. So now it's going to should be working. So if I start it, this is quite useful if there is some network call that takes a couple of seconds, or not even that, if you just want to expand and collapse parts of the page. So if I go to forecasting, and if I simulate it here, it gives an exception because lazy container needs, it really needs to be called child content. Okay, so I can start it again. So now I can see these two buttons. I didn't give it names, but if I click on activate, now it's going to wait for 5 seconds. And after that, it shows the percentiles table. If I collapse it and expand it again, then it's not going to do anything because it's already loaded. And the same here for this one. That's going to show so it's not doing any calculations, it's just loading it into the UI. So, and with this I can just show parts of the page. So what I'm missing here, if I wait these 5 seconds, there is something that should give me the feedback that it's working, or that something is happening. For instance, now it's blocked, I cannot do anything. I cannot click on this button, and after 5 seconds there is something showing. So what I'm going to add is a spinner, and in order to do that I'm going to add a new. So for the first time in the activation I can just say is loading, and if it is loading I'm going to create here a class that is going to be a spinner border and a spinner border small, and then I only need to create is loading. So in order to show this, the idea here is just to say is loading is true and is loading is false. Just like this. This is probably not going to work, but I'm going to show it why. So as I said, it could be a network call that is going to be done there, and by default I don't want to do it, only if the user wants it. So it's not showing anything as I expected. And what we are missing is to make this method asynchronous. So what I'm going to do here is to write here async, and I'm going to call activate, and I'm also going to do an await here. And now it says it's not awaitable because it's void, so I'm going to change it to async task, and I'm going to rename it to async. So, and now the trick is that I'm going to do an await task yield task yield. So, and that gives back the control to the thread, and it can then render this loading panel. And after that, it just does the rest, and this should be enough to see the spinner. So simulating here, and if I go to activate, you can see the spinner, it's doing something, and after the 5 seconds it's going to show. So, and now you can say, okay, the percentiles are here, and if I, for instance, if I calculate 10 tickets, it should change, and it changed automatically. But if it didn't change automatically, or you would need to do another call to the backend, you could just reference this component just like it's being done here, and just say refresh. So you could create a refresh method here, and that would refresh the content. So I hope this is useful for you. And yeah, I always appreciate some feedback. I really recommend knowing about a bit about Monte Carlo simulation. It really helped me as a developer, so that I don't have to make so many thoughts about how long something is going to take. I'm just need to see the historical data. For instance, here in a week, on a day. In a day I finished 1 ticket, no tickets, 3, and so on. And so to do 10 tickets, usually it would take around, and I can just say here, if I want to be 90% confident about it, I'm going to say it's going to take about 9 days. And that's most cases good enough. Yep, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a nice weekend. Bye. I almost forgot, this code is actually going to be available in my GitHub. I don't know if it's called page, but it's hosted on GitHub. I'm going to put a link in the description so you can quite easily use it too. It's still not updated, but I'm going to do it right away. Yeah, that's it. Bye.